Welcome back to another episode of the Wisconsin Investor, everybody. I'm your host, Corey Raymond, and today we've got a super awesome episode. I'm so excited for this one. I always love interviewing couples, and I have an awesome couple here with me, who I'll introduce in a second. But before I do that, I want to talk about Wisconsin Discount Properties, who sponsors these podcast episodes, and tell you about a hot deal we just had, guys. So we just had a deal in Wautosa. It just got sold the other day. But I want to talk about this one. There was a huge spread on it. ARV, probably around $425,000. Our buyer picked it up for $235,000. They're going to stick about $40,000 into it. So part of me is kicking myself for not just buying that one myself, but that's why we do things the way we do at Wisconsin Discount Properties, because we all win. They make money, we make money, sellers happy. It all works out great. So if you're looking for off-market deals similar to that one that you can flip or put in your portfolio as a burr or whatever you want to do, just head to wisconsindiscountproperties.com, plug your information in, and start getting access to these off-market deals. We're putting 2 to 5 of them out every single week to our buyers list. That being said, let's get into the episode. Today, I've got the Farley fam, Cayla and Brandon. How you guys doing?
Great.
Good.
Great. Thanks for the invite. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Excited to have you guys on. Tell the audience a little bit so they can get to know you guys. Where are you located? What's your history with real estate? How did you get into this thing? Kind of give us just the full, let's start there. Give us the full background here.
Yeah, so we're located in Shawano, a little bit outside the Green Bay area where you guys are from. But we have been in real estate for quite some time now. 2016, which I hear is when you got in there.
Good year to get in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a little bit slower than you, I think. But we're still doing flips, and we got a couple rentals. So that's about our experience. Just kind of still getting the ball rolling here for us.
Awesome. What got you into real estate, guys? Because I always love this question, but like, what is it that, because some people think we're crazy, right? Like we talk to their family, like, I don't know if when you guys started, you would guide that duplex, that people are like, Brandon, Cayla, what the heck are you guys doing? You're gonna have to deal with tenants and you're gonna have to do this, right? And they start giving you all the negative stuff. Did you guys experience any of that when you were starting?
I think, well, we were living in a duplex, and I think for us, like, it was a little intimidating. And then I think we met our landlord. Like, it wasn't like a big corporate, right? We just met her, and she was awesome. And we're like, oh my gosh, like, we can do this.
Yeah. Nice.
And so we picked up a couple of books, and we were really big into Bigger Pockets in the beginning. We read Brandon Turner's book, which is amazing. He's amazing. We actually just recently met him, but
nice.
So that kind of just laid it out. I mean, and it was pretty black and white. So that's when we went after our first duplex, then just across town. So
awesome. Did you guys live in it? Did you house hack it, or was it a straight rental right from the start?
Yep, house hack all the way.
Nice.
Yeah, there was about 3 feet of dog hair everywhere.
Come on.
Whole path through it. Oh yeah, definitely some TLC needed in that thing.
What? Like I've been in hoarder houses, but never a dog fur hoarder house. That's
yeah. He wasn't letting it go. I don't get it. Insulation or something.
Along with a mouse infestation, I'm sure.
Right.
With that, right? Oh my goodness. So what did you guys have to do to clean that out? Because pet smells in general can be a bit of a problem. Was it pretty smelly with the hair, or was it just straight like trying to get all the hair out?
No, thankfully, no urine smells or anything like that. Just a lot of hair. So we got the place cleaned out, and really didn't have to replace any subfloors, but we planned on doing all the flooring already.
Okay.
So just clean sweep and
stuff. Yeah, painting, carpet, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Nice. And do you guys still have this duplex?
Yes, best property we own.
Oh yeah,
really?
It has come through for us so many times. It's amazing.
Tell me more about this. Why is this the best one that you guys own?
We bought it in 2016, so we got a great price on it, and then obviously, everything came up in price since then. So it's about double what we bought it for.
Yeah, that helps.
And HELOC, so
HELOC
on it has just been awesome. So
yeah, you guys know me and my HELOCs. I love it. How did you finance it originally? Was this the 5% down program back then, or what was the story then?
Yes, 5% down. I think it was actually less than that, wasn't it? 3.5?
Yeah, we ended up actually doing 5% down, but then they actually took out like a second mortgage to help with that as well. Because we were, young and broke and no money at all. And but we got it, and we added some value to it, and ended up refinancing it out of that second mortgage, I believe. And so we've just held on to that mortgage then thereafter. So
The original first
yeah.
position mortgage. Okay,
Mhm.
cool. And the HELOC thing, how did you guys get the HELOC? Did you find a lender that would lend on this property but not be in first position?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Can you guys share who that is, or do you not
Oh
want
yeah,
to know?
Nicolay National Bank here in Wisconsin.
Really?
Absolutely awesome. Yep, we actually work with Nick Chadre. So I don't know if we're
Great
allowed
guy.
to plug even a name in there, but he's awesome, and he's even, hey, this is kind of like how some of these other guys have this kind of laid out. What does that sound like to you? Or kind of goes over our goals and structure wise for loans, and
Wow.
it's just been really awesome working with them. Yeah.
Oh, that is so cool, because I have never really had a lot of luck with them on investment properties, but I didn't know that
Oh,
they would do a second position HELOC if they don't have the first. So they do not have the first. Let me just confirm that.
correct. Yeah,
Right.
correct.
Oh, wow. All right. There's your nugget. All right, guys, we can wrap. This has been a great episode. uh, that's a big nugget. Only a handful of banks I've ever heard of that will go second position
Yeah.
HELOC on a property and investment property that they don't have the first position on there. So for the audience that's listening, if you're new to investing, or you're not at the point where you even can think about getting a HELOC yet because you don't have the equity or whatever the case is, typically a bank is only going to give you a HELOC if they have the first position loan. So meaning you go to the community bank, they lend you the money, you buy it, you fix it up, whatever, and you go back to them once you have some equity. You say, hey, I want to pull some of that out and use it for down payments or rehab or whatever the case is. Typically, if you go to another institution doesn't have that first thing, they're going to say, oh, great, we'll do it, but we want the whole first position loan. So this is a huge nugget that Cayla and Brandon are sharing with you guys right now. So I'm definitely going to write that down, and I'm going to contact them when we
Yeah.
hang
Now
out.
we do
Yeah.
have other loans for other properties through that bank. So I
Mhm.
think they look at it as they still have leverage there. You
Mhm.
know,
Oh, our whole business though too. All of our business accounts and stuff like that for the company. It's all there. So
So the relationship is strong with those guys. It's not just a
definitely, yeah.
one-off type of product. Yeah, that's another important part with community banks is, they're a lot of times more relationship heavy versus, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, your 5% down loan that you guys talk about. They don't know who you are. You're just a number in their system. Community banks the relationships can go a long way in getting some lending.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I could go on and on, but yeah.
Yes, yes. Talk about, like, so you guys are mostly into flips now, or you said you guys earlier we were talking, you have a couple burrs in addition to that happening. What's the business strategy? What's the big goal for you guys?
yeah, I think right now we're really looking at like building our base.
Okay.
We're trying to get a base of rental properties, mainly through Burr, just to kind of keep us held up and make sure that if we do make some risky moves or we want to, take some steps here going forward, that we do have that base to fall back on. So yeah,
Cash them in later. Whatever, more HELOC loans. Whatever, right? We
Mhm.
just don't want to bite off more than what we can chew. And yeah, more
yeah,
rentals
using
right
the
now.
HELOCs has been huge
Mhm.
for us.
Yeah.
Making our own bank there, and
Yeah.
Mhm.
What are you guys using your HELOCs for? Because I use mine maybe differently than you, but I'm curious if for the audience, how are you guys finding this as such a great tool, and
Yeah.
how are you finding it coming into play for what you guys are doing?
So right now, we currently are using them for rehab. So we, instead of
Nice.
taking hard money to pay for the house and rehab, in order to, obviously save some money there, we're just using hard money to purchase the property, and then we're
Nice.
using our HELOC loan for the renovations.
Very cool. Yeah, that definitely saves a lot of money. Those darn loan sharks out there, they're making their money on those hard money loans. But yeah,
I wish
no,
I met earlier. Is all I have to say.
yeah, yeah. So you guys are primarily, when you're doing the flips or the burrs, you're going hard money HELOC on all of them
If
as a
we can,
combination, a
yeah.
capital stack type situation.
Until we have enough HELOC, right, and then we don't need the hard money. But
For
yeah.
sure. Yeah. No, that's great. And so everybody listening to this, that's another good nugget. You might want to go back and re-listen to that if that's kind of foreign to you. But a hard money lender, typically, they're going to be higher interest, higher points, right, than a community bank would be. But they can close quick. They're typically, again, relationship based, and they're going to potentially give you rehab money along with it. But like what Cayla just mentioned, if you don't have to use them, you save quite a bit of interest, and you can be more competitive on your offers. You can increase your spreads, all those kinds of things. So that's fantastic. Have you guys talked to Nicolay or any other community banks about, trying to replace that hard money lender now that you've got some HELOC cash, and just work with them on these flip loans or any of that to bring the cost of capital down even further?
Being honest, I don't recall. I feel like I've had this conversation with them, but the situation we were in before, the timeline wasn't going to work out
Oh,
because they
okay.
still need that standard 45 plus days to close.
Yep.
And so it's now that you say that, I might want to revisit that. They very much might do that, or like their own form of like a construction loan,
Mhm.
however they want to categorize that. But I'm not sure right now.
Okay. Yeah, that's something I usually recommend to people. Once you can kind of get off the hard money piece and get, you got a little bit of you got a track record now. You guys have been in the industry since 2016. You guys have enough there that you could go talk to a bunch of community banks and figure out who's going to be the best option for you guys for each deal. Kind of use them like a little chess pieces sometimes, right? Is what I do is like, all right, who's got the best rate? Sometimes if I'm doing a flip, I don't really care what the rate is as much as like what are all their loan fees going to be, right? Because that is going to make more of a difference than just 0.5% different on interest rate. Who cares in a 6 month
Oh
loan,
yeah.
right? It's like you're going to hit me with a $2,000 loan fee. Well, this other guy's only charging me 500 for that. I'm gonna go with this dude, right?
Yeah, the little things are like little pet peeves to me where everyone's like, oh, so okay, so the loan is this much, and then the rehab is that, so then there's your profit. I'm like, no, 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 no. Like, you're
Yeah,
not factoring in,
Money
the
talks.
points, the closing costs, the holding costs, like all those little things that end up taking a lot more than you think it does.
yeah. Did you guys have an experience where like you found out the hard way all this stuff? You were budgeting one way, and then all of a sudden you looked at it and you're like, oh, I didn't realize there was gonna be this fee or that fee.
She's all over it.
Okay.
So if you got a good wife on your side, they love numbers. You're golden. You
Nice.
don't got to worry.
How do you guys divvy things up? Like, Brandon, you just mentioned something, and this is one of the reasons I love interviewing couples, because usually couples I find are some of the most successful real estate investors. One of you has a strong suit in one area, the other person is strong in another area. Like, did you guys ever have a sit down and divvy this up? Did it happen naturally? Like, how did this all come
Just
to be for you guys
tried.
as a couple?
Yeah, I mean, we also run a fence company in Shawano called Frontline Fence.
Okay.
So we kind of follow that same dynamic. I'm in the field. I have construction background, and she handles all of the customer relations, all the financing, all the bank relationships. So
Cool.
it's kind of the same, right, in real estate, where she figures out all the loan information, she figures all of the financing out, and then she basically says, "This is what I want it to look like," and I go out and do it. So
Nice.
very easy transition.
Yeah. The honey, here's your honeydew list. Go make it look like this. I got the rest of it. Don't worry about it, baby.
Right. And you don't want me picking colors and stuff.
I'm right there with you, Brandon. I'm the Cayla of the relationship though. I just push papers, and then my wife is like, here's the design I want. And then I'm not the guy she's giving that to. That's some contractor. You don't want me doing any handiwork in your house. I'll have to get fired in a second. So are you in actually swinging hammers, Brandon, or are you outsourcing the rehab, or how have you found success on the flips and the rentals that you're rehabbing?
It really depends on the project and how big it is,
Okay.
and the spread. So if there's not a ton of spread in it, I will probably do a little bit more.
Okay.
If it's not the entire thing, it's doing the prep work for the contractor. So like we need to rip out some flooring, cabinets, and some of that stuff. I'll go in and clear all that out to kind of save contractor time.
Okay.
But if ideally we get where we can have the contractors just go in, do all of the work, and then we can kind of sit back and manage and look for more.
Yeah. You guys, if you listen to the podcast, you've heard me say this 100 times. Like, highest and best use, I think, is finding deals and finding money, not typically in swinging hammers. But you got to do what you got to do, especially if you're just starting out. Sometimes you got to get in there and swing the hammer to start building up that kitty a little bit, right? So you've got some capital to use going forward. So it just depends on probably the evolution of where you're at in your real estate investing journey a little bit. So for you guys going forward, what does the goal look like? Like you guys mentioned a little bit building a base, but there wasn't anything specific. You guys have a specific target of like, we want X amount of flips a year, X amount of rentals a year, X amount of doors by so many years, or are you guys just kind of just doing the do and taking them as they come?
I think right now it's not so much like the doors or amount of rental properties. It's more just the income replaced, right? Because we could very easily get that with one giant purchase versus 10 smaller homes that we hold on as rentals, right? So
Yeah.
we're just trying to aim for a replacement of income, right? So
Awesome.
whatever that kind of looks like.
Nice.
Obviously the passive right? That's the goal here. So buy and holds are top priority. Cash is nice, but we do have our our company that we're running as well. So that's kind of our bread and butter right now, paying all of our typical expenses. But anything that we can hold on to for long term is going to be the goal right now.
Nice.
I'm really excited. I just watched one of your podcasts with a couple. Their name is not in my brain right now, but they were the couple in Door County that had purchased like an 8 or a 9 unit, and they had turned it into a short-term rental.
Okay.
Very, very interesting.
Oh, Joey and Chrissy. Yeah.
Yeah.
In Algoma. Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
So just hearing them, and this is kind of a thought in my brain, for the last several months, and hearing them talk about it, I was like, haha, like, like they've done it, like, let's go,
Yeah.
And I love hearing that and seeing that, because if it's done once, it's, it's just duplicatable. So I'm very pumped to get a bigger purchase like that here probably this year. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's exciting stuff. Yeah. We also had another interesting one of somebody who bought a motel here in Fish Creek. One of the early episodes here, and it was just a mom and pop. They ran it as the classic innkeeper. You show up, you check in with somebody behind a desk type of thing, and they bought it. They had to do a ton of work to it, but made it all technology based. And so everybody's remote check-in now, and they just show up, they punch their code in, they go in, there's nobody there innkeeping anymore, and they just jack the NOI on this thing like crazy. And I can't imagine how much equity they got in this sucker now. So
Yep.
Yeah,
that's
I think that's her goal
my
right
goal.
now.
Yeah.
She's
awesome.
got stars in her eyes every time she sees a hotel or something up for sale.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A motel, like, come on.
Let's go. It seems like it's becoming more and more of a thing. Like, listening to Brandon Turner, I remember when I was listening to Bigger Pockets back in 2016, 17, maybe 18. I don't remember when it was, but he started getting really big into the mobile home thing and the mobile home parks. And then it was storage units where like everybody was going after storage complexes and stuff. And now I don't know, but I don't follow the campground thing as much anymore. The mobile home thing as much anymore. Campgrounds now is another big thing, but the storage seems like that's cooled off a little bit. The returns aren't great. It's tough to find a value add deal. A lot tougher nowadays. Same with multifamily, has been tougher to find these days, but it seems like I'm seeing more and more people do these motel conversions either into apartments. They're converting them straight up to apartments or into short-term rentals. So that's
right. Like a rent by the room kind of deal too. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool. We had an opportunity a few years ago with one in Algoma, and I'm kicking myself that we didn't just close on it. It was 40 units. It was right by the water. And I saw the guy relisted it like a couple years later for like 500 grand more than what we could have bought it for. So I don't know. It's one of those things. It's a deal that I sit and think about from time to time. And
we've had those. Yeah.
Just cry a little.
Yeah. You're like, oh, that could have been me.
Yeah.
What has been the biggest struggle for you guys in real estate? Is there a particular deal that's been the biggest challenge that you guys can share? Has it been just some type of trying to figure a certain thing out? Like, what's been the biggest challenge for you guys so far? And maybe each of you could answer individually if you each are like, hey, this is what I'm thinking, and you got something different. But
I think honestly, it's getting out of our own way. Like, number one, you've got a great answer too, because we were talking about this the other day, weren't we?
Mm-hmm.
But I think just getting out of our own way. Like, again, we purchased the duplex back, way back 2016 or 17, whatever it was. And, it just kind of cooled off from there, because it was like analysis paralysis. It was just like, oh, we don't know enough. Well, we don't know enough. Well, we don't know enough. And it's like, you do it, you get out of your own way and you just do it. And you're like, really? Like, I could have been doing this for how long? I could have taken advantage of the COVID market. You're like,
Yeah.
No, along those lines, I mean, like we said, we started in 2016. It was a great market back then, and we're consuming all this knowledge, consuming all this education.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the big things that they told us was go to the REI meetups, meet people.
Yeah.
And that was one thing that we didn't do.
Okay.
And we just went nowhere. We were stuck with this knowledge. We have to get 20% down. We had no idea what hard money was. We didn't know where to get the cash for the next deals.
Okay.
So we just sat like, well, we need to come up with more capital to buy more properties.
Mm-hmm.
In comes the fence
company we run.
So we figured we have an opportunity to start this company. This will be a capital generator to allow us to buy more properties.
Nice.
And in turn, just becoming more busy.
Yeah.
So
okay.
That more or less just took up all of our time. And now we're so swamped with everything else that we can't even think about buying more properties.
Go after the actual goal here. Yeah.
Right.
Got
So
it.
we purchased education just a couple years ago, and one of the first things he says is go to your REI meetups, go and meet your network.
Yep.
You know, form this network of people around you so that they give you advice.
Yeah.
And that's when I came to the REI Success Group, and it was immediate.
Yeah.
Like,
Met people, learned everything that I was missing,
Oh, that's
and it
awesome,
all
dude.
just kind of now in the last year or so, everything is just skyrocketing.
Oh, that's fantastic, dude.
Like I said, we have 2 BRRRR properties we're working on now, whereas a couple years ago that was unfathomable.
That's so awesome. I love that. I remember like that's how we met, Brandon. Weren't we messaging back and forth? Just met through like one of the Facebook groups, and then I was just asking you a little bit about what you do. And then I think I called you because I was driving to the REI Success meeting. I remember that night, and I was like, "Dude, why don't you come out?" And you're like, "I live in Shawano, but yeah, what the heck?" I'm like, "Oh, this dude's serious about real estate. Like he's gonna just drop what he was doing at like 4 PM and be there by 6." I was like, "This guy wants to buy some real estate, man."
Yep, and that was my first meeting. That was fantastic.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad we could get you in there. It didn't take much arm twisting to get you there. It just took a little invite, and
I was hungry. I was ready.
Yeah, you were on your way.
That invite.
Yeah.
That's right. Just needed somebody to invite you. So, anybody listening, come to the REI Success meeting. It's 4th Tuesday of every month. Green Bay. Shameless plug, but not really, because Brandon just told you how much it changed his business.
No,
So.
for real. And I've never met a community like it. Like I don't even go that often. And Brandon's really the one that goes. But we're running the own company. But we've been in obviously different industries in the corporate. Up in the bigger cities near us, and there is no community like the real estate community that you find. I mean, talk about people truly bending over backwards to help you or give you advice or literally anything. It's amazing, and we're the same way.
Yeah. You know what I think is interesting as you were saying that, the thought that came to my head is, yes, the group is awesome. However, you have to engage the group too. You can't just show up in a meeting and just sit there and be, in the back of the room, not talking to anybody.
Right.
You're not asking questions. Like the thing that you guys do really well at networking is you come in with thoughts, questions, intentions, things you need to get, relationships you need to get, things you can give. You guys are always there too to give if you can, right? And I think that's why you guys benefit so much from networking events. So I've seen it the other way where people they come one time, they don't engage with anybody, they're gone right after we wrap. They're not sitting around networking, and then they never come back. And I feel like sad for some of those people because I'm like, gosh, you were so close. Like you got in the door. It's like going to the gym and never hitting the equipment.
You don't even see the dumbbell rack. What do you
got there? You got there. You put your tennies on. You just never went and pushed any weights. Dang it. You were so close. Right. And so
I think that's all it takes is dip your toe, go out on a limb, talk to somebody, be the first one to approach somebody else, and you're never going to regret that.
That's right. That's right. And I think what's really cool is like the group is so good, but like just like you said, Brandon, put yourself out there, and it's not comfortable. Not many people like walking in a room of 50 people and not knowing a soul and then going like, hi, but you just start talking to people. You ask them about their business. You ask them like how long have they been in it? Some basic questions to get the conversation started and have some idea of maybe somebody who you need to meet there, like a lender or a contractor or something. And you'll find like that's all you needed. Just asking a few questions to some people, and everybody's happy to introduce you to somebody else. So at least in the Northeast Wisconsin, I know there's some other networking groups I've heard of that aren't so open, maybe in some other parts of the state, but for the most part, a lot of the community around here is pretty open to helping people succeed. So yeah, that's great nugget. Cayla, you were talking about your struggle. What was the struggle again? I want to go back to that because there was a thought I had. What was your biggest struggle? I got off on Brandon's there.
Getting out of your own way. I think again, the analysis paralysis where you just think that you're missing something. You think that there's just something in it that you're missing and that you're not going to do right. And that you just have to have all of the answers and all of the ducks in the row before you even get started. And it's not like that. Like, don't get me wrong, do your research. Like, I'm not sitting here just like blindly go forward, but
for sure.
At some point in time, you just have to pull the trigger,
Yeah. Well, you and I were just talking about that before we hit record. I was just at a charity hunting thing down in Texas with a guy who's been doing seller finance and creative finance and selling seller finance notes to the secondary market, doing all these other things that are like way above my head right now. And I think you said that to me. It's like, well, you just got to do one. And I'm like, dang it, she's right. I gotta stop getting in my own damn way and go do one.
That's true.
And then I'll be like, that'll be an episode in a couple months of me talking about how great these things are, I'm sure. So anyway, no, that's awesome. What has been the biggest success for you guys besides that duplex? And what were the things that made it so successful? So we know why, like some of the market conditions for you guys helped, right, with the duplex, but talk about like maybe another deal that you guys have done that's like, man, this was a slam dunk and everything went right. Here's what happened, and here's why it was such a success.
I think it's probably the house we're sitting in right now. Yeah, last year we flipped this house that we're in right now. It was a firehouse.
Okay.
So it had a fire in it. The homeowner got paid out by insurance, so we got it dirt cheap. Needed a ton of work. It was a huge mess. But it really taught us a lot. I mean, we got a great group of contractors out of it. And really our first big flip, I mean, we stuck 120,000 into this.
Wow.
So it was a lot of work and a lot of, making sure that everybody's coordinated and that everything goes right. Yeah. And we did our first hard money loan. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Make sure I'm getting.
Got to check with the person who did it.
He doesn't do that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So we got the hard money through good faith. So that was our first time working with those guys. Great bunch of guys there.
Yeah.
And everything just really fell into place.
Well, the best part about it is, 5-bedroom, 3-bath. The thing's huge, right? This isn't some small little like.
Wow. Right. Yeah, saying a little 2-bedroom bungalow here.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And shout out to Preston. I'm sure everybody around here knows who Preston is, but I gotta say a shout out to him because he was just awesome with helping us out as far as walking it and just giving us confidence, Yeah. And again, that community that you find and those relationships that you build. Yeah. But we had an ARV for this thing at like what, 220?
235.
235?
Yeah, originally.
Yeah, and it ended up appraising for 300.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
What happened? Was it just like because you guys did such a great job in the market, the timing, or were you just so off on comps at the start, super conservative, or what happened there?
There really weren't a lot of comps to go off of, honestly. So that was, I mean, it was like a nail biter because we're like, we're going to get screwed over here. Like there are no good comps. And the appraiser, like she walked around and, she complimented me on like the design of everything. And I asked her, I mean, it was my first time, right? So I'm like asking all the questions, like, what would you do differently? Like, what are your thoughts on this? And she's like, honestly, I wouldn't change a single thing. This is amazing.
Oh,
yeah.
You're like, oh, praise the Lord.
Yeah, I was like, okay, but that's such a great feeling of knowing like I didn't screw something up, So
for sure, you could tell when you're walking with an appraiser. If you guys have never done this before, audience, when you do a refi or something like that, go with the appraiser and do exactly what Cayla's talking about. Like, ask them every question you possibly can. You're paying for it, you might as well ask them, right? And then you could tell if they're like digging it. You're like, oh yeah, it's gonna be sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It almost didn't happen because we actually tried to wholesale this property first before we flipped it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we've learned something. We took the most horrible pictures and tried to shop it, and it just scared everybody away.
Yeah. Firehouses, I'll tell you, as a wholesaler, they are tough to sell. So now if I get a firehouse, I know who to go to.
For sure.
The brand of firehouse people, right? That's it. What were some of the biggest challenges with a firehouse? Because like I immediately go structural problem. Right?
Mm-hmm.
The deck.
Oh, yeah, unexpected things.
Okay.
Things completely unrelated to the fire.
Okay.
Well, because when that's a good point. When you walk in, that's all you're staring at. Right. You're looking at that fire damage and, okay, how is it going to go and how are we going to do it? And then you tend to miss other things. So, that'd be my big advice there is try not to focus on the fire as much as you think.
Okay.
So we got lucky where it was about a 10 by 10 area that actually got affected by the fire.
Okay.
So you're exactly right. Structurally, we had a lot of work.
Okay.
So we had to do an entire roof in one section of the house. And then some pretty good structural work in where it connected and kind of where the fire was. So
Did you guys have to replace the trusses, or like what was the extent of the roof
Yeah,
job?
we did. Now, not in every case. You wouldn't have to. They were pretty scorched, so we just figured just get it out of there, get the smoke smell out.
Oh, okay.
I think a big part of firehouses though is again, like what Brandon's saying, is it's not always just where it's been burned. It's when the fire department comes in here and sprays everything from head to toe in water. And now when that seeps through the walls, your drywall is shot. So you might as well just plan for ripping everything down to the studs. It might not be burned. It might not even have soot on it, but I can guarantee you have water damage. So that was like a big factor for us where, okay, yeah, sure. It's just this little 10 by 10. It went all the way up to the second story. Right. So, I mean, again, big structural issues there that we had all fixed out, and actually was like kind of good because we ended up being able to change the layout. But the amount of water damage and mold that you find from now in our situation, this sat for a while, right? So there was a lot of mold remedies that we had to do, taking down all of the drywall, so it's like I'm happy because then there's no like creepy molds anywhere, right?
You get to sniff it, you get a fresh start.
Right. You have to make sure that it's good to go. But that was definitely unforeseen on that extent.
I think there was more water damage than fire damage.
Right. That's that's my point. Yeah.
Wow. That's so cool. Now I've seen it before, and maybe you guys aren't, experts in this, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Like we've had houses, like I actually had one that nobody wanted to buy on the buyer's list. So I bought it, cleaned it, put some new flooring in and listed it, but it had some fire damage in the attic. Now the roof had been redone since that was done. And so I was being told like, well, it's probably fine, or they would have replaced it. But like, how do you know that when you're looking at this? Like when you guys were evaluating this, how did you know, like, yeah, we got to replace those trusses? Like, did you have somebody come in and do that? Was that just a judgment call that you guys made? Like if somebody's looking at one that's had some like fire damage in the attic or, to the trusses, like how do you know what's salvageable and is fine? You don't have to mess with it. And when do you got to re-roof and replace?
Yeah, for us, it was just a judgment call, and it was pretty apparent. I mean, everything was pretty scorched, and what we did was when we opened everything up, we looked at the plywood underneath the roof, and it was all black. So we just figured there was no coming back from that. I know John Vanderheiden, he does great work with firehouses, so he would be willing to come out and take a look if anybody's got any questions.
Okay, what is John Vanderheiden? Is he an inspector or what is he?
No, he's a contractor that just focuses on fire damaged property.
Cool. Is he the guy that you guys worked with to do some of this stuff?
No. Nope, not this particular one.
Okay.
But no, like I said, it was just very apparent to us that had to go.
Okay.
Trusses and that were pretty scorched, so that was just the easiest solution instead of trying to pack everything up.
If it was in a situation where we didn't know, I personally would not want to have that on my conscience of deciding whether or not something should be replaced. I would personally bring in, a local building inspector. I mean, I know everybody doesn't really want to go that route, but at the same time, it's like if a family's going to be moving in here, like you kind of just need to do the right thing and just get it looked at by a professional for sure.
Well, if they get an inspection, you're going to be busted anyway, right? So it's like you might as well get it done right away and do it right.
There was no hiding the fact that
you can't hide that stuff. There's no hiding that stuff for sure. No, that's great. Well, this is awesome, guys. I mean, I got a page of notes here already on a lot of things that we talked about. I'm sure, like we talked about before this, we could probably just keep going for another hour and a half on here. But I know you guys got kids that you got to deal with and all that stuff. So we'll get you out of here. Before we do that, though, I always ask a question at the end. Again, we love Wisconsin. And we love investing, and hence that's why we have this podcast. But we know there's people that listen to this that aren't in Wisconsin, but they want to invest here. So we got to tell them a little bit about Wisconsin, right? So with that, do you guys have a favorite place you like to visit here in Wisconsin or a favorite tradition? So if some of those folks come here, they can just assimilate right in.
You go first.
Location. So for visiting, I'm a big sucker for Devil's Lake. So
I've had that one other time, I think.
Love Devil's Lake. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I got to get down there. Apparently it keeps coming up.
And for people that aren't in Wisconsin, you got to hit Von Steel Winery in Algoma and Bay Beach.
Oh yeah.
Those are gems in Wisconsin.
That's true.
Yeah. Bay Beach is pretty fun. Yeah.
If you haven't been to Bay Beach in Green Bay, it's very unique. I mean, you give some of these rides are like a quarter.
Yeah. Literally $10, all day long, and they
Yeah.
are just like the kind of old school rides,
So
and
you feel like you're an old carny.
yeah.
Even if you don't got kids, just go.
I mean, they all
Absolutely.
have their teeth. They're nice high school kids, so I mean,
Yeah,
hard.
for sure. For sure. Awesome, guys. Well, if anybody wants to get a hold of you guys, or if anybody's looking for fencing options too, and do you guys service a certain area for the fence company? Is it just the Shawano area? Are you anywhere northeast Wisconsin? What does that look like?
Yeah, pretty much anywhere hour drive from Shawano. So we
Okay.
do Northeast Wisconsin as a whole.
Okay.
So yeah, if you want to get a hold of us, it's gofrontlinefence.com.
Okay.
And you'll find us there.
Mhm.
Cool.
Otherwise,
For house stuff and real estate stuff, I mean, probably Facebook. I mean, there's a lot of stuff
Mhm.
going on Facebook with that sort of thing. Not so much Instagram, but I like doing my cute little videos on Instagram, just keeping everybody updated. But
Nice.
like Facebook, yeah.
Cool. Awesome, guys. Well, thanks again for being on here. Thank you all for listening to another episode of the Wisconsin Investor Podcast. We'll see you on the next episode.